The sun had barely risen over the sleepy little town of Red Valley, its amber light stretching across cracked sidewalks, empty storefronts, and a bar at the corner where the world always seemed heavier than it should. That bar, Rusty Iron, was no stranger to trouble. It had seen late-night brawls, broken bottles, shouting matches, and once even a car driven halfway through its wall. But on this particular morning, when the air was still cool and the streets hadn't yet gathered the weight of noise, the trouble was still in the making. 5 bikers, clad in black leather jackets patched with skulls and flames, roared down the main road like wolves hunting prey. Their engines rattled the windows, their laughter sharp as glass, and their boots hit the ground like thunder when they parked in front of the bar. They had no respect for the town. They treated it like their playground. And in many ways they were right. No one had dared to stand against them. No one had told them to stop. Until today, inside the Rusty Iron, a man sat alone in the corner booth. His presence was almost invisible, as though the shadows themselves cloaked him. His hair was short, streaked with gray, his jaw lined with scars not from accidents but from wars. His hands were calloused, steady as stone, resting on a cup of black coffee that had long since gone cold. He wore no leather jacket, no flashy clothes, no chains, just a plain flannel shirt, jeans, and boots that had walked more miles than most of the town's men had driven in their lives. His name was Daniel Cole, though few in this town knew it. Most just called him the Quiet Man. But Daniel was no ordinary quiet man. He was a veteran. He had fought in deserts and jungles, in cities where walls bled dust, and in mountains where silence was broken only by gunfire. He had seen faces turn pale before, men who realized too late that they had pushed the wrong person, enemies who had underestimated the man who moved with silence like death itself. Daniel didn't want trouble. He had come to Red Valley to heal, to forget, to start over in a place where no one knew his name. Yet trouble had a way of sniffing out men like him, men who carried weight in their bones that others could not understand. The door to the bar slammed open with a violence that rattled the glasses behind the counter. In stormed the 5 bikers, their voices already raised, their laughter cruel, their presence suffocating. They spread out, taking over the room as though it were theirs, throwing chairs around, clapping women on the back too hard, making the bartender flinch with every order barked like a command. The leader of the group, a tall, broad man with a shaved head, a thick beard, and tattoos crawling up his neck, spotted Daniel sitting alone. Something in the quietness of Daniel's posture must have irritated him, because his grin widened into something sharp. "Well, well," he said, his voice dripping mockery. "Look what we got here, boys. Another ghost sittin' all by himself, thinkin' he belongs in our town." The others turned, their boots thudding closer. One of them, a wary man with spiked hair, slammed his fist against Daniel's table, making the cold coffee ripple. "Hey, old man, didn't you hear us? This ain't no place for strangers. You don't belong here." The rest echoed it, a chorus of jeers. "You don't belong here! You don't belong here!" Daniel lifted his eyes slowly. He didn't flinch, didn't bristle, didn't even frown. His gaze was steady, calm, the way oceans look before storms. He let the bikers laugh. He let them tower over him, and then, as silence briefly fell between their insults, Daniel leaned forward ever so slightly. His lips parted, and in a voice so soft it was almost a whisper, he said only 3 words. Those words were not shouted. They were not threats. They carried no volume, no anger. And yet the biker leader, the man with the tattoos climbing his skin, froze. His grin faltered. His laughter caught in his throat. His eyes widened, just a little, but enough for the others to notice. The blood drained from his face, leaving it pale, almost ghostly. No one else in the bar understood what Daniel had whispered, but the leader did. Those words were a name, a place, a memory from years ago, something buried deep under bravado and leather, something that only someone who had been there could have known. The man's fists clenched, his jaw tightened, and suddenly the mocking laughter of the bikers no longer seemed so powerful. "Who the hell are you?" the leader hissed, his voice rough. Daniel didn't answer. He leaned back, calm as stone, and sipped his cold coffee. The weight of silence that followed was heavier than all their shouting had been. For the first time in Red Valley, the bikers were no longer in control. The bar's patrons watched in disbelief. Who was this quiet man that could turn the face of the most feared biker in town pale with nothing more than a whisper? Rumors would start, of course. But Daniel wasn't here for rumors. He was here for something else. And whether he liked it or not, his past had just come knocking. The chapter doesn't end here, it only sets the fire. Because once pride is wounded, violence follows, and Daniel knew the storm was only beginning.